Guys and girls, thank you so much for coming back to check out the channel. Happy Thursday to everyone. We're almost at the end of the week, but thank you so much for joining us again here on the channel. Please consider leaving a like or a sub if you're new here. And let's jump right into it, you guys. Our first news story we're going to be talking about is new PS5 controllers that actually have some added new features. I'm going to explain to you guys how you can see if you have one of these newer controllers and what's so different about them. This article comes to us via Tom's Guide, titled New PS5 DualSense Controller Adds Hidden Upgrades. Earlier this year, Sony released 3 new PS5 DualSense colors: Starlight Blue, Nova Pink, and Galactic Purple. Fans initially admired these new controllers for their snazzy designs, but players quickly discovered that the controllers also sported some minor hardware improvements. The new DualSense model comes with thicker trigger springs and a modified piece of plastic near the analog sticks. So how can you spot if you have one of these new controllers? Well, it all comes down to the FCC ID number located on the back of the controller. This 10-character combination of letters and numbers can help you identify if you've got one of the new controller designs or the original one. The first wave of DualSense controllers have an FCC ID number that ends with 1. The new controllers have an FCC ID that ends with the letter A. So like I said, you guys, it's a little too early right now to know if it has any long-term effect on the operation of the controllers, but I do like seeing that they do include thicker trigger springs. That was something that was a concern from some early adopters, that the triggers were going out on them. But let me know in the comments down below if you have one of the new controllers and have you noticed a difference. Okay, going on to the next story here. It looks like the Xbox Series X has outsold finally the PS5 in both North America and Europe, and this happened back in February. This comes to us via WCCF Tech. What they're saying here is Microsoft's win comes about due to the relative availability of the Xbox Series X. So these sales are accounting the Xbox Series S sales. And because of the availability of the Xbox Series S and the Series X, they were able to actually outsell for the first time since its launch the PS5. Now, we do have to say here though, the Nintendo Switch actually outsold both of those consoles. And why did the Xbox have an edge when it came to February sales? Well, I might have found the answer, and this article comes to us via sfgate.com. Microsoft might have invested in priority access to microchips during the global shortage. The rumor stems from Nick Baker from the Xbox Era podcast, talking about a direct message he received in April of 2021 stating that there would be more Xbox consoles in stock later that year. And looking back, that's exactly what happened. Baker goes on during the podcast to say that Microsoft paid for chip priority at the factories, ensuring that the factories would sell them their chips before other companies. There has been no confirmation of this by Microsoft, but if it's true, it seems like it was a smart move on Microsoft's part. So this kind of makes sense, you know, if there was more Series X systems available, definitely that helped them sell more systems than the PS5. But as we look at things now, PS5 is definitely still in a higher demand than the Xbox Series X, and we shall see if PS5 can catch up and what decisions they make in the future in terms of what Sony decides on helping us get better access to the hard to find PS5 systems. All right, moving on with the PSVR 2, and we're talking about the specs of the PSVR 2. We're still waiting for that announcement of the PSVR 2 a special state of play that we talked about earlier this week on the channel. But looking at some of these specs, some of them are pretty surprising in case some of you guys haven't heard. What we do know that the PSVR 2 is going to contain and actually beats out the Quest 2 in terms of some of these specs. The screens on the PSVR 2 are going to be OLED screens, and it's going to have HDR. So that actually beats both the Quest 2 and the Valve Index as compared on this website mpfirst.com. What's also pretty cool about the PSVR 2, it's going to offer tracking without the need for cameras, so we're not going to have to use any kind of camera at all. It's going to have an inside-out tracking via 4 cameras in the headset. It's also going to have eye tracking. The cameras inside the headset will be tracking your eye movement, This makes it possible to render at full resolution, essentially making it possible to have VR games at PS5 fidelity. That's pretty cool, guys. So the PSVR 2 controllers is going to be another neat thing. It's basically the DualSense for VR with semi-finger tracking, improved rumble and resistive triggers. And not only in the controllers, but the headset itself is going to have haptics. Headset haptics will help with immersion and reduce discomfort, and also cool gameplay opportunities. For instance, feeling the raindrops on your head in a game while it's raining, sense something whizzing past your head. Let's say if you're playing like an FPS in VR, that's gonna be pretty cool. Or, oh, this is a little bit spookier, guys, feel a spider crawling on your head. Oh boy. That's gonna be fun for those horror games, right? As for the sound, you're still gonna have to use your own headphones. We're still waiting to see how ergonomically it's gonna feel, but if they learned anything from the PSVR was pretty comfortable. And it does have one cord though. It's not completely wireless. It's using a single USB-C cord connected to the PS5. But other than that, I think we're gonna be very appreciative that we don't have to have that extra box connected to the PS5. And finally, you guys, we wrap up today's news stories for the PS5 and PSVR 2 with a surprising announcement coming to us via Remedy. Remedy, the creators of Max Payne 1 and 2, saying that they are in talks with Rockstar, working on a full-fledged remake of Max Payne 1 and 2. Do we have any Max Payne fans in the house? Man, I have some good memories with Max Payne. Let's just make sure we don't have another thing like Grand Theft Auto, the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. I know that got a pretty bad rap. Let's hope they take their time with Max Payne, because I think a game like that deserves it for sure. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. I hope you have an awesome rest of your Thursday. Until we see you next time, guys, stay safe, stay awesome, you're cool.